Welcome to the I Choose Health podcast. I'm your host, Stefan Lessie. Today we have fitness coach and podcast host Marc Paisant on the show.
Your dream is possible. Your dream is possible. But not only is it important that you believe and begin to know that it's possible for you to live your dream as you run toward it, but I've done something that I want to share with you called Choosing Your Future. In fact, I've developed a set of tapes talking about how to begin to create your own reality by choosing your future. And not only is it important for you to know it's possible for you to choose your future, but it's necessary that you work on yourself, that you develop yourself. It's necessary that you get the energy drainers out of your life, people who don't want anything.
All right, so this first update is being sourced from the website healthnews.com, and it says that the FDA has issued a salmonella risk warning for recalled cantaloupe. Now it says that according to a November 17th statement from the FDA, at least 43 individuals in 15 states have contracted the bacterium since November 6. Among the infected patients, at least 17 have visited the hospital. A small number of fresh cantaloupe and pineapple goods sold in at least 13 states throughout the United States and Canada have been recalled by 3 brands: Vineyard, Aldi, and Malkita. The agency reports that of the 29 individuals who fell ill, 15 had disclosed that they had been exposed to cantaloupe. This next update is being sourced from healthnews.com, and it says that eating a vegan diet may reduce hot flashes by 95%. A small exploratory investigation revealed that following a low-fat vegan diet with added soybeans reduced the overall number of hot flashes in postmenopausal participants. Scientists assigned 84 postmenopausal women with moderate to severe hot flashes into 2 groups. One group followed their usual diet, and the second consumed a low-fat vegan diet, including 1/2 cup of cooked soybeans daily. The participants followed the diets for 12 weeks and recorded frequency and severity of their hot flashes using a mobile app. In addition, the scientists selected a subset of 11 women following the low-fat vegan diet and assessed differences in their gut microbiomes at the study's start and again at 12 weeks. The researchers found that among women in the dietary intervention group, hot flashes decreased by 95% overall, and severe hot flashes disappeared completely. In addition, the frequency of moderate to severe and daytime hot flashes decreased by 96%, and the number of nighttime hot flashes fell by 94%. Participants also lost an average of 6.4 pounds while on the vegan, soy-enriched diet. So there you have it, another update showing the possible benefits of a vegan diet. Now, let's get into the interview. All right, guys, welcome back to the I Choose Health podcast. I'm your host, Stefan Lessie. Really excited to be here with you again today. We just dropped the episode with Matthew Carter War. His insights, his experience were really riveting, really inspiring, and I hope that what he said, what he shared, had the same impact on you. And that's really the goal of our podcast, is to really share rich and authentic stories that really inspire and really cause us to look within, cause us to really want to make changes, to create a transformation, to not leave transformation off as something that's just a one-time thing, but that we're transforming and becoming new people each and every day. All right, so today I'm excited to interview our guest today, and he's kind of the reason why I kind of got started in a podcast space. He kind of gave me the podcast bug, as you will. I know that they're saying that everybody's got a podcast now, but I see this as more than just a podcast. It's something that is really creating a space for allowing people to share authentic stories, and stories that will really help people to grow and to make changes in their life. So today we are interviewing, and as he self-describes as a motivator, and he is a motivator. He's definitely motivated me. Mental health advocate, and he's also a certified personal trainer, like I am. And he said he's an unabashed, perpetual learner, and you can't get any better than that. As someone who's always open and willing to learn, and that's how we really go through life. That's the best way I've found to go through life, of always looking to learn. And you know, your experience is only going to be rich if you're looking to consistently learn. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'm welcoming Marc Paisant to the show.
Thank you, Stefan. I appreciate it. Everything you just said is true, and I'm looking forward to this conversation with you. And I understand, as you said, I gave you the bug. I, in turn, got the bug from one of my buddies who has a podcast, Clemson Sports Talk. So someone's gonna get the bug from you. So just keep it going.
Definitely. And I want to really delve into your background, your career. Because I'm looking at your profile and seeing where you've come from, and you've worked in a lot of different service industries, from insurance to working with the youth in terms of the basketball team, as you spoke about earlier. And I noticed that there was a pivot from as a personal trainer into a podcast host. So can you tell us what, I guess, inspired that? Like, what led you to go from that field of, helping people, physically and helping them to reach their goals? How did that lead to then wanting to develop a podcast?
So, and I appreciate that. So just to let people know, when I graduated, I really from college, I really didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. And I remember having a conversation with my dad, him asking me that, and I said, I literally told him, I just want to help people. Like that is the most general and most unaware answer a 22-year-old can give their father. But what I found out is that every job that people have is in the service industry. Like, think about that. Like, every job is in the service industry, regardless if you're in banking, if you're insurance, if you're in retail, whatever it is, if it's obvious, non-obvious, if you're the CEO or if you're a frontline worker, it is a service industry because someone is your customer, external, internal. So with me saying that, I found a niche for myself in insurance, which no one ever says I'm going to work in insurance, but I liked it. I liked, the technical aspect of it. I liked reading policy, but I loved helping customers, to a point where I was getting multiple customer service awards a year. I was getting national customer service awards. And in my head, I didn't think I was doing anything different. I was just being Marc. And people would come up to me, he's like, how are you getting these customers to write in? How are you getting these customers to say all these things about you? I was like, I'm just nice. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I listen well. So then I got, of course, I got this promotion, and I found that I loved not only helping customers, but I loved helping the people who worked with me. And I always say work with me. I never say somebody works for me. We're always in this together. And I didn't make that up. I learned that from someone along the way. And I really loved helping people, and I was in some environments that weren't conducive to me growing. And I said, is there a way that I can touch more people? More people can hear what I have to say. Is there more ways I can, help young people get better and prepare for life while getting better at their sport. And it just was a natural progression that I started into a podcast. And then being a coach, basketball and soccer, I never really cared about wins and losses. And people used to get upset with me about that. I used to tell other coaches, like, you can think this way, but don't say it out loud because people will misconstrue it. But, even my daughters, especially my oldest daughter, who's about to be 10, we have this running joke that her games mean nothing. Her games mean that. And people are listening to that and be like, oh, why can't you tell a kid that? And anybody who played youth sports, especially my age, in my mid-40s, growing up, do you remember how much pressure you used to put on yourself to be the best and win every game? And then you grow up and you forget about that game meant nothing. Yes, it was fun to play. And of course, I want these games to mean something to her, but I don't want the added pressure. So this kind of got me into, when I got back in shape and had a personal trainer, I was like, I can do this. I can help people physically, mentally, emotionally become better. I want to help people with that. So hopefully I answered your question. That's how I kind of got into this space.
I mean, you did more than answer it, because you really helped to navigate us into the mindset of, or show us what the mindset of this generation is, or our time is, of, we're constantly looking to compete, constantly looking to win. And as you go and grow through life, you start to realize that it's not about the competition. It's not about winning. It's how are we going to win together and do that in a collaborative way, right? And, I think even your profile, you said it's better to fail as a team than succeed as an individual. And, we are so accustomed to really doing things in a competitive way, looking to win. How can I win? And that's the consistent focus. And there's hardly ever the question of, how can I help? How can I help?
Mm-hmm.
And you look at a lot of the major paradigms and religious perspectives around the world, it's that consistent theme of, how can you be of service and help to other people, right? And those are the people that we found to be really successful and really help people to do better throughout the course of their life.
Correct. And, I think it's summed up the best when, Giannis of the Milwaukee Bucks, he was asked 2 seasons in a row. He won the championship, but then he lost 2 seasons in a row, I believe in the first round. I think so. And the same reporter asked him, does he see his season as a failure? And and for anybody listening to this, please just go YouTube Giannis reporter exchange, because he said he had one of the best answers, because, his team worked as hard as they could. He worked as hard as he could. He is one of the most in shape, dominant, well-prepared, hardworking, came from humble beginnings, was in the, Greek military. He brought his brother to, he's done so many things. And because he lost a series in a game of basketball, he does not feel like a failure. And what I've come to understand when I talk to a lot of people, like this week in itself, I did 7 shows, and now I'm doing an 8th one. I'm recording an 8th one. I'm not doing it, but I'm recording an 8th one with you. And what I've learned by talking to so many people throughout different generations is we see so many things as a zero-sum game. What I mean by that is we see all or nothing. We see 100%. It has 50-50, 70-30. Something has to add up to 100, which is, it can be detrimental to somebody's psyche. And what I mean by that is when I'm training a young girl who's going to go off to play college soccer next year. And when she does something incorrectly in our training, I can just see that she's beating herself up, like something's totally wrong. Like she messed up. Like she she's doing things wrong and she has to do that in her brain. And I've told her plenty of times, like, mess up, do it now, mess up as much as you can. We want to know what this feels like. This is not you either get it right or get it wrong. That's not what this is. This is you improving constantly. You can go through a whole hour session and you do everything incorrectly. But what's happening is we're learning from that. Your body is adjusting to that. Like now it's going to happen in a game. It's going to happen on the field. It's going to happen in real time. And you're going to automatically, not even have to think about it. Your body's going to have that memory where the next time it won't happen. So I think, when people have this idea that everything either goes right or goes wrong, I'm doing it correctly or incorrectly, I'm on the right path, or I'm on the wrong path. It's like, no, you're on your path. You're on a path. So, but it took me a while to figure that out. And it took me multiple conversations, multiple relationships. And it took me, having bad friendships. Let's be honest. Like it took me having incorrect conversations. It took me going through some things myself. So that's what I try to get through to people, just so they can relax and just enjoy the process. The fun is in the process. Winning is fleeting. Being on the top is fleeting. But that process, it lasts forever.
And I love that you said that, because it reminds me, and I'm going to draw a parallel between that and my experience growing up with my brother and the battles we would have in basketball, like back and forth, back and forth. And anytime that we started a game, we would get our shots up. And, my brother would say, I'm getting all the bad shots out now. And so I like the fact that you said, like, hey, mess up as much as you can right now, because again, that's what life is about. You make those mess ups, you learn from those mess ups. Those are the things that help. And all of the great athletes, all the great individuals will tell you, I've messed up and failed a bunch of times. A bunch of times.
Funny thing about that is I always get weird looks when I used to manage teams, especially at startups. When I managed teams, I would tell my team in the first meeting, it's like, I expect you to do something wrong. Like I expect it. Like the time I find somebody that from day one has done everything correctly, either you're doing something not right, without integrity, or you're divine. And I don't. Right now, I don't need either of those things. So.
Oh yeah. No, and it really is true, and I love sharing like that experience with, as you sharing that experience with your clients and that perspective with your clients. I've heard, I forget the name of the trainer. He's on the podcast Mind Pump. But he said that when he trains a new client, he says, I really don't want you to really even lose anything in this first month, like weight-wise. And he said, I'm really trying to retrain your body and mind metabolically. And so I was just like, wow, like when we're working in these commercial spaces and commercial gyms, they're expecting us to have results with clients like right away, right? Like they're like, I'm not seeing any progress. We've done an assessment with this client 4 or 5 weeks after they started, but we haven't seen anything. Like, what's going on? What are you doing? Where can we help to try to change things here and there? And I mean, yes, it's natural to see that and not see change and want to, try to infuse whatever wisdom or infuse whatever help you can to help, stir things in a direction towards weight loss or weight, muscle gain or whatever the adaptation it is the client is looking for. But the one thing that we're supposed to really be helping our clients with is helping them to learn how to be patient with themselves, right? And to come to a point of actually learning themselves, becoming acquainted with who they are. Because people throughout life, not only do they not know who they are physically, and that a lot of times people go throughout life not knowing who they are as individuals psychologically. So I think that's one of the roles that we play as personal trainers in helping people kind of see like what's their like current mental capacity, where are they like mentally limited from being able to accomplish, the goals that they're seeking to accomplish.
One of the things I've found in this space, and not just me with any clients, but it's looking at the people in the gym who've started with personal trainers or started in the gym. Like, I don't think people understand the amount of bravery, courage that it takes for some people to even step into a gym or to step into a fitness space or to go on that 15-minute walk. Men and women. And for someone to feel so, vulnerable going into a fitness space and then to have added pressure put on them is just a combination for disaster. And people, like, you're absolutely right. Like, I personally don't think that people should look at the scale that often when they're in a specific fitness, program, or when they're on their fitness journey, because I did that when I first started, and looking back, yeah, the pounds kept coming off, but the days they didn't, I thought I was failing. And that's the last thing you want. And you're absolutely right. We're talking about lifestyle changes that we're trying to instill. We're not talking about someone trying to, lose 30 pounds in 30 days and then go on doing the things they did before, because they'll be right back. So every good trainer, I want people to hear this. There are plenty of trainers out there, but every good trainer understands that they don't want a client for life. They want this client to be able to leave and be instilled with the proper habits that they can live the life that they want to live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I love the fact that we're getting into this. I want you to kind of like speak to the different experiences with your clients. Like, what have you found has been the number one thing that has contributed to both your clients either not seeing the results they want to see, and then also your clients actually seeing the results? Like, those who, what have you found has been the thing that's kind of been counteractive to them accomplishing those goals, and then what has been helpful for those who like accomplished their goals?
This might sound cold, especially coming from me, since I'm the compassion and empathy guy and be nice to yourself guy. This might sound cold, but it all falls on discipline. It all falls on the ones that stay true and keep their promises. I have a flexible schedule. I'm available multiple times throughout the day, throughout the week. Most days I'm up really early. Most days I can be up later. I have a home gym in my garage. I have, there's plenty of space around where I live where I can do some plyometric body weight work with anyone. And, it's the moment someone is really excited. Hey, Mark, let's train. Let's do this. All right, cool. Let's go. When do you want to train? I got this time. Okay, I'll be there this time. All right, cool. Oh man, I couldn't make it. Something came up. I'm like, okay, cool. Just let me know when you're available. And when you see that a couple of times, you start to think, one, they're not really serious about this. And two, they're not really respectful of my time. And that, I know that sounds cold. I understand that sounds cold, but here's the thing, like, I'm not a miracle worker. You're not a miracle worker. I'm not a mind reader. I'm not a future teller. I'm not any of those things. I'm a trainer. I'm a nutritionist. I'm a strength and conditioning coach. I'm a coach. I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I'm all these things in my life already. And I make the time to be all those things. And I also make the time to take care of myself. So what I'm trying to say, I don't want people to take this the wrong way and say, oh, Mark's just being a jerk and he doesn't understand what people go through and all. I do. I have a job. I have 2 podcasts. I train. I coach. I listen. I wake up at 4 a.m. 3 times a week to go to the gym. I understand. I am empathetic to you. I'm also a great communicator. And people know exactly what's going on. So it's the people that understand that this is not necessarily difficult, but it takes discipline. It takes someone that's going to be like, I don't feel like working out with Marc today, but he's put aside the time for me. This is what he does, and I'm going to be better for it. Now, people get sick, people get injured, things come up. Like, I'm not a jerk. Like, if you text me and it's like, hey, I got to go get my kid from school, like, I understand these things. But it's to answer your question, if there was one word that, differentiates the people who succeed and the people who are still working to succeed, it's discipline. It's those who know that this is something that not only they want to do, but they need to do, and they're willing to put in the time.
Yeah. And I think one thing that a lot of clients, every client that comes to us comes with a mindset, right? Like, it's, all right, I want to accomplish these goals, but I'm not sure how often clients ask themselves, okay, what's going to be expected of me, right? What's going to be expected of this relationship that we're forming as client and trainer, right? Because we're forming a contract, we're forming a covenant, and this is what we're doing. We're meeting this many times a week, me checking in with you, making sure that you're staying on top of things when it comes to diet, sleep, stress management, right? Exercise, apart from when we're working out together. Are you committed to this? And, growing up within the Christian faith, I always kind of refer to a time where Jesus, just to quote what the Bible says in regards to Jesus, he says that anytime you're about to take on anything or build anything, to count the cost, right? And I think that as you're thinking about building something, there must be a lot of time and a lot of hard work put into whether or not do I want to accomplish this thing, and do I really want to put the work in necessary to accomplish this thing, right? And so, as you rightly said, I really think it really does boil down to that discipline to really think about, okay, this is what I'm agreeing to, this is what I want to do. And with my company, Mindcore Fitness, one of the mottos that I have, or one of the slogans that I have, is what you want. Like, I always ask our clients, it really boils down to what you want. And are you willing to put yourself through the work to achieve what it is that you want? So I think it really, I don't think I know for some people it sounds cool because of the mindset they may be coming from, but it really does boil down to a serious commitment with yourself and wanting to really accomplish what you set out to do.
Couldn't agree anymore with you. Could not agree anymore.
So you just mentioned that you are running, 2 podcasts. Mm-hmm. You are working as a personal trainer, and you have your various things that you're doing, concurrently. Speak to me about the Relatively Normal podcast. I think it was the one that you started prior to the 6 a.m. Run podcast. We want to speak about both, but speak to me about the Relatively Normal podcast, what that was about, how that came about. Just give the audience an idea of,
I appreciate that, and Relatively Normal was a brainchild of a specific conversation I had with my therapist at the time. I appreciate that, and Relatively Normal was a brainchild of a specific conversation I had with my therapist at the time. And I mean, looking back, I love this story because it was a sunny day. Like, I had a good job. Everything was going well externally. I remember getting to my therapy session, and I was just in the worst mood. Like, I couldn't get out of this funk, couldn't really shake this sort of depression I was in. And finally, it was probably like 15, 20 minutes into the conversation, my therapist asked me he just straight up asked me, what do you want? Like, Mark, what do you want? And I told him, I said, hey, I don't want to feel like this. Like, I see the people smiling outside, having a good time, having fun. Like, I want to be normal like them. And he said, well, first of all, you are. Like, this is your normal. Your normal is relative. It's just you have different triggers, and we just have to work on your coping mechanisms. We just have to learn, like, everyone has different triggers. Yours, apparently do this to you, and we just have to work on how we help you cope with it. And that was a total, like, 180 paradigm shift for me, because this whole time through the work I was doing, I was trying to be more and more like other people, more and more, how they were. And of course, without knowing what they're going through. And that stuck with me. I'm like, my normal is relative. Like, it's just, it makes plenty of sense. So I said, well, I want to start talking to people about this, and especially men. Like, I want to talk to men about it, because it's very rare. It's getting better, but it's very rare that men can get through this stigma of talking about their feelings and mental health and all that stuff. And I want people to know that it's okay to talk about it. Like, we don't have to use the word mental health if that kind of turns you off, but we can talk about, emotions, feelings, all that good stuff. So that's why I started Relatively Normal. And with 6 a.m., like, Hami, as you know, the CEO and co-founder of it, started that 6 a.m. Run podcast. And he's a busy guy, and saw what I was doing, and asked me if I would be willing to go into the host space for that show probably about a year and a half ago. And I said yes, because this is something that brings me a lot of joy. So, and, I was able to take kind of full creative control over it, which was awesome, and bring on some great guests, change up the music a little bit, change up the intro, do all the producing and editing myself. So it's like, it's just amazing. Like, I love this space. So that's kind of how both of those shows started.
Interesting. Yeah. And, I really enjoyed the time when I came on, because you really create a space for us to delve into deeper avenues, even though we spoke about the use of the product, just being able to, like, just get into life and talk about that was really fascinating. And so, it kind of reminded me of the times where I would just have conversations with friends, and just be able to just delve into that in, in a intimate space. And, podcasting is one of those things that really provides that space. It provides that short window of time to really commit to going into deeper conversations. And, at the end of our interview last week with Matthew, I shared with him, some of the struggles that I've had in terms of my mental health. And, hopefully I want to be able to get into that in one of these episodes, because it's not an easy thing to share, especially for men, to be very vulnerable and authentic about the things that they go through daily. Because there's often so many things out there that are telling them that you shouldn't be able to share your feelings, or you shouldn't do this because it's going to make you look weak, right? And, you got to be a man and be strong. And we're being told, from both men and women, hey, you got to man up, right? You got to try to figure this thing out. You can't allow this thing to keep holding you down. And, I think that as we're allowing these podcasts to run, allowing them to be a space where we're actually trying to help people, I don't think it helps people to say, hey, you need to man up. I think that it may work with some individuals, right, where they call it that tough love. Rest in peace to Bobby Knight. I always would contrast him and, Coach K. And I would say to myself, because I've operated within competitive sports spaces, And I said, who would I want to be coached by? Would I want to be coached by Mike Krzyzewski or Bobby Knight? Right? Like, because Mike had a different approach to it. He was more gentle and really understanding of the players. And Bobby was just this, like, seemed like a very volatile force with his players. And it looks like both things work for both, both players on both teams. But again, the question is, where did that, like, for the people who, and I'm not trying to say anything about Bobby Knight, but where did that leave those players as they went through life? How did they handle life? Did they now approach their children, their wives, their other careers with this, like, I'm just going to go at everything aggressively and respond to people aggressively? Like, you really want to reevaluate if those things were helpful. And so, I do appreciate the fact that we're creating a space for people to be authentic, be open, and listen to what it is that they have to say.
Well, I totally appreciate the fact that you're not going after Bobby Knight. He's not with us anymore. However, and the part about this is there's plenty of men who will look at that type of coaching and say, that's good coaching. I want him to coach my son, or that's the kind of coach I want. And here's the thing, like, I haven't coached at that level. Like, I have not coached at that level. I coach youth sports. I coached AAU, travel. It's and rec. I've coached all those. I do my best not to raise my voice at a child. If 18, 19-year-olds are children. Let's be honest. They're kids. They are kids. They are not adults. I think the way that Bobby Knight coached was incorrect. That's my opinion. Come at me if you want. I don't care. Like, we can agree to disagree or whatever. I don't care. But and you have the same type of coach, and I don't know if anybody remembers the old K-State coach, the old South Carolina coach Frank Martin, who had that same type of fiery attitude, we'll say, towards coaching. And what you'll see if you go down the list, if you nowadays, if you look at the coach that fits into that Bobby Knight, Frank Martin kind of category, you might see some gains in the front end. You might see, okay, the team was motivated and they came up, and maybe a year or two, maybe even Bobby Knight's run, you'll see that. But what you don't always see is the almost immediate and significant drop-off, because there's only so much that a team will take. There is a reason why coaches like Coach K, Gino Auriemma, Gino's a very fiery coach too. However, if you hear him at his practices, if you hear him how he talks to his players, there's not just a raising the voice or yelling to do it. I love the, Coach K, and I forgot what player said this. I forgot if it was Tatum or whatever player used to play for him. Coach K basically used to tell his players, you work 1,000% for me on the defensive end, you can do whatever you want on offense. Like, if you go back and look at Coach K's, offense throughout the years, he didn't start putting in like set offenses until teams, really went to, high zones versus him. And then he got, really good sets in there. But no one, here's the thing, like, no one deserves to yell uncontrollably at anyone because of a coaching dynamic without I understand emotions are involved. Like, I understand that. But if you're yelling just to yell because that's your coaching style, I have a problem with that. And I'm sure people will say, oh, Mark doesn't always talk about Mark. I will take that smoke all day. I don't care. The fact of the matter is that you're inducing trauma when you consistently yell at people. and when you yell at kids. And I don't know how we got here, but I think that it's lazy coaching. That's what I'm not speaking ill of the dead. Like I'm not doing that, but I think it's lazy coaching if you have to get your point across by yelling. So that's it. I won't say any more on the topic.
No, and I totally agree because I mean, whether that's in a coaching style or relationship style, like if that's how you're gonna get your point across, then like what's really the point of the relationship?
But
Like I think you should be able to speak to each other in calm tones and things, work out the right way. And I mean, and for me, it's like if it ever gets to the point of yelling, well, okay, maybe this is something that can't work out. Maybe we should just, part ways. But I think like, and I think people need to understand that parting ways is not an unhealthy thing. Sometimes, separating yourself from people may be a healthy thing. And I probably will put the Les Brown, now that I'm thinking about it, Les Brown snippet at the beginning of this podcast where he talks about getting away from energy drainers, right? That there are people who really don't want anything and they're really about arguing and making things tough. Like those are the people, if you want to be successful and continue on through life experience and growth, these are the people that unfortunately, and they may be family, they may be friends, that you're going to have to either limit your interactions with or in some cases really cut off communication with them.
I've done it. And it worked out for the best. I hope it worked out for the best for the person involved, but I know it worked out for the best for me, and it was intentional on my part. And I was the type of person that would try to keep every friendship and I try to please everybody. And I got to a point where I was like, what is this person bringing to my life? And as selfish as that sounds to some people, like it's not. Like friendship is a two-way street. And if you're consistently, it's like the coaching and training. It's like, what's the point of me showing up every day if every time you leave you go to McDonald's and don't get off the couch until the next time we work out? You're absolutely correct. And I think more young people need to hear that, because just because this person goes to your school or lives in your neighborhood or, wants to hang out with you and they're the kid that's, bullying other kids, and they're the kid that's not doing their homework, or they're the kid that's constantly interrupting the teacher. Just because they dress nice and you guys have the same, games you like to play, does not mean that person deserves to be in your life. Like we need as adults and parents, like we need, and you're a new parent and you'll, I know your your little one doesn't have like friends yet, but mine do, and they come home a few times a year and say, oh, well, this person, my friend did this and my friend did that. And my question is like, what do you think about it? Like, do you feel that that's nice? And so we have that conversation. So you're absolutely right.
Now we're winding down. We've got a couple minutes left. I know that you've mentioned, your work as like a mental health advocate. Kind of speak to, your work in that space and what you've seen, the different experiences of people, and how working with them has impacted you. So kind of speak to both of those things, like the work that you've done and also how that work has impacted you.
I like to always tell people that I am not doctor, physician, therapist, any of that stuff. So I always lead with that and tell people, you don't have to listen to a word I say. You don't have to. I'm not the person that's going to get on here and be like, you have to do this and this. No, I'm not. And I cringe when people do stuff like that. And even in the medical space or fitness space, like there's so many fake TikTok people out there that are like, this is how you do this. Just follow it. And it's like, it should be, this is how you can. But whatever, I digress. So I have learned this throughout the years, and I want people to really hear this, is that I've learned that once you start talking about mental health, like the room gets silent and people start acting like they're at a funeral. And oh, this has to be a sad and somber conversation. And oh, we have to talk about Mark's depression. And like, no, we have to, I'm trying to reframe it and change the conversation, because we don't all, like, mental health does not just mean and have a negative connotation. I want to, if you're happy, if you're in a good spot, that's great. That's a good headspace. Like, you should note that. You should sit down and write that down. Why are you happy today? You know, who made you happy today? And I've learned throughout this space is that people don't want to talk about it or get into it because they feel that they have to talk about depression or anxiety or bipolar or ADHD or, you know, all these things that have these negative connotations, when it's like, man, if you've ever been nervous before a first date, that's a mental health discussion. If you've ever been anxious before a big job interview, that's a mental health discussion. If you've ever gotten a promotion and you feel on top of the world, that's a mental health discussion. And that's what I try, you know, I sent a note through to they had this thing at my job where you can nominate somebody, a manager, for something they did and write it down and submit it, and it might get picked. And I had written about how my manager basically had one of the greatest responses and to a time where I felt like I wasn't doing my job enough. And he told me, he's like, Mark, it got selected. And he's like, Mark, you didn't have to do that. I appreciate it. I was like, man, all these times in life, like, we focus on the negative outcomes. We want to complain about, you know, our burger getting undercooked or the server taking a minute to fill up our water or Southwest losing. Like, we complain about everything so quickly. But the moment something goes right or is good, we don't document it or we don't say it. And a few years ago, I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm going to make sure that my complaints significantly are outnumbered by the things that I write that are positive. So I might complain. I might say, hey, I didn't like this. But if I do, there's 10 other things that I'm saying were done wonderfully. And that's how I think that I'm trying to reframe it and let people know that mental health is just how you feel today. How do you feel? Like, how do you feel? That's it. So that's what I'm trying to get through to people. And last thing I'll say, I'm trying to get more Black men to talk about it. I will say it. I will say it out loud. I'll say it a million times. I'm trying to get more Black men to talk about it and to listen. That's what I'm trying to get. If you watch a 6'5", 235-pound Black man talk about how he felt emotional or sad or anxious yesterday, maybe you'll do the same thing.
And hopefully I'm using this term correctly, but I guess you're familiar with the term trauma bonding?
I am. Yes.
Yeah. And so hopefully I'm using this correctly, but like I noticed that in our society that we like to get together and talk about difficult times we've had, right?
Yes.
And I'm not sure how often that's accompanied by, and this is how I persevere through this moment, right? A lot of times we just like to share the negative. And it kind of reminds me of the Chappelle joke. Chappelle said, he was like, white people, I only want to smoke with white people, because every time I smoke with Black people, they always want to talk about these negative times and these difficult times they're going through. They say white people, when you smoke with white people, they only want to talk about the other times that they were high.
Yes.
Right? So it's just like, and you're right, like the mental health conversation shouldn't just be focused or centered on, well, you know, I'm suicidal or I'm going through depression.
You're absolutely right. Yes.
So yeah, it really centers around, I'm feeling great, I'm feeling whatever it is. It's a mental health discussion. And so really that is great work to do, to take away that stigma of what the mental health conversation should be. And it's really about, no, let's talk about how we feel and be comfortable.
Yeah.
Be comfortable talking about how we feel.
That is it. That's what I try to do. That's exactly what I try to do.
Yeah. Well, guys, this has been a great conversation. Marc, I want to thank you for, chiming in today and really doing this podcast with me. You gave me that bug a couple months ago, and I really enjoyed it. Like after I got off the interview, I'm like, wow, I really enjoyed that. And, just being able to sit down and share. And I also I want to do it because I've done it for the other guests as well. I want to give you a chance to plug here what you have going on next. What's up? So let's let the people know where they can find you and the other projects that you have coming up.
So first of all, I appreciate being on the show. And I appreciate you giving me this opportunity because there's some new things coming up very soon with me. Of course, on IG, you can find me on Paisant_fitness. And the Relatively Normal Instagram page has changed. And the new tag is hosting by Marc, excuse me. So hosting_by_Marc with a C. Because it's going to encompass all the information and shows for both Relatively Normal and 6 a.m. Run both shows. And marcpaisant.com will be dropping December 1st, which will be kind of the one-stop shop for everybody to go to see what I'm up to, get links to all the shows, get, some stuff for 6 a.m. run, and book some appointments with me if they would like to in person or virtually, because I offer both of them. So, and I offer soccer and goalkeeper training. So, yeah, there's a lot going on, but I'm telling you right now, if you're on LinkedIn and you just Google, you see my name, Marc Paisant, Paisant. I'm very active on there. Send me a message, and I always respond. And I love to have conversations with different people, and that's what I look forward to.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Again, we have Marc Paisant on the show today. We're really thankful for his contribution and his insights. Again, this is the I Choose Health podcast. I'm your host, Stefan Lessie. Again, making that appeal to you to make health be personal, make a choice to be you, and really commit and submit to being the best version of yourselves. Hope you guys have a great one, and hope this show was truly a blessing. Peace. Thanks again for watching. Please remember to subscribe, like the video, and share with your friends.